Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Deborah and this is
Aaron.
And this is Aaron and Deborah. And I'm going to start that again.
I think
Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Deborah and this is
Aaron. I'm the lovely Aaron.
He is. He's lovely. Anyway, and today we're talking about 5 things that you want to know about an age gap relationship.
5 things.
So what is the age gap between us? There is in fact 8 years
8.
between us. When we got together, I was 17 and he was
25.
25. And so we're going to go through 5 things that we've learned about an age gap relationship. And starting with number 1.
It depends on when you start the relationship. Now, that can exhibit in loads of different ways. But for me, when we got together, I noticed a lot of people saw the age gap between us and were giving me some kind of looks.
Yeah.
Especially on public transport.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was also because I didn't look 17. I looked younger than 17. I didn't even look my age. And then he also looked
I looked
25.
Let's say about my age.
Yeah, and you had like man beard and I was like 17 but probably looked about 14,
so that,
maybe 15.
Yeah. So what happened was in my case, there was one it was for a state of mind thing more than anything else. But for me, we set up a little rule between us, which was when we're going out, or just us two on a date or walking around London or whatever, the rule was Deborah couldn't wear Converse trainers.
Yeah.
Because it just completed the look of her being too young. That was
Yeah.
it, really.
Yeah, I didn't like that rule so much, but I could understand it and so I did it. But yeah.
That was one of those
Although when
ones.
we got married, I was like, I'm going to wear my Converse.
I don't mind. I didn't mind. I didn't care then either. But this anyway. So
yeah, I think as you get older, the differences in age, it sort of equalizes. Like now
we're 11 years married now.
Yeah, but I mean what I mean is like when I was 17 and you were 25, it was so much more obvious. But now, with our ages now, it's negligible. So sort of the age gap, even though it's still the same amount of time, obviously, it sort of equalises. Yeah, it doesn't really matter as much. So like, if you're a 70 with a 78-year-old, well, who cares? But
a 25-year-old with a 17-year-old,
yeah,
people notice that. So
yeah. So
and they did.
yeah, they did.
Number 2, learn how to talk with each other. That's a big one, I think. For me, actually, that's probably the biggest one, because if you can learn to talk to each other, I think that attraction can only go so far. There's obviously physical attraction, but if you can't talk to each other, you're in real trouble.
Yeah, I mean, no relationship is going to last very long if you're only based on physical attraction.
And well, I think that we've been pretty compatible since the beginning because
I think we're both talkers as well.
Pardon?
We're both talkers.
Yeah, exactly. And it does help that yes, we're talkers, of course, but also it helps that we deliberately learned. Yeah,
and I think like you had to. If you've got an age gap relationship, like a bigger age gap relationship, you have to learn the nuances of the person's age, like how you communicate and how you talk, even, or your slang or whatever. It's going to be
so different.
So different. So I've learned to talk to understand you more now, but even
now we can have little slip-ups where we think, hold on a minute, what do you actually mean?
Yeah, like in text language, I think, because also I have a lot of typos. I'm one of those people. I'm sorry, guys, but you will use all the punctuation, and I'll just use most of the punctuation, and probably
It does.
I use emojis. I'm an emoji person.
Yeah, I'm less so.
Yeah, you have to learn like sort of. Also, like the cultural references of the person's age and how they communicate, like what films or like pop culture phrases that people are going to use, and you're sort of like, Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of learn that information.
And with that, that's a nice thing though, isn't it? You're learning about each other as well. So it's not just I'm learning how to get to know you as part of a study. No. It's more than that, isn't it? You know, you're learning to actually not just understand the person, but you're learning
how to communicate with them.
Well, yeah, but you're learning the depth of the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, number 3. You have to just accept the age gap and laugh. Because
that wasn't a deliberate forced laugh, by the way.
It's not going to go away. And so if you sort of like try and defend it, like, yeah, who cares if there's an age gap? Like, sometimes it's gonna come up, and sometimes it can be awkward. It's like when I talk to people now, even though we've been together, it'll be 15 years in December, and I tell them that we got together, or we got married when I was 19. They're sort of like, oh, okay, yeah. And so even you still, but like you have to sort of just accept that gap and just move on.
Yeah, but you're gonna always be a young mum. So there's that.
I'm always a young wife.
That's a true. See, there are benefits. But it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be unhappy that I've got a young wife. I'm happy with that.
There's a scripture about like remember the wife of your youth or something.
Yeah.
I'm just always perpetually in the youth of.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to you.
Which brings me to point number 2 of this thing is you're going to have jokes and just enjoy it. Because if you don't have you need banter, but come on, sometimes the banter doesn't work. All right, let's just be honest with ourselves. It doesn't. Sometimes you think you've done a good banter. It's not necessarily worked. But sometimes you just have to have some jokes and enjoy it, which connects to learning to talk with each other.
And like sort of knowing how far a joke you can take. Like I'll call him old all the time and
I don't even care.
All that stuff. Like before, when we were early in our relationship, I just accepted that he was going to go bald.
I refused.
He refused, but I accepted that. And so I joke about his bald head all the time.
And now I just shave it anyway, so what difference it make? So
you got a little bit happening. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, moving on to number 4.
Milestones. Milestones. That's a big one. Can be a big one.
Can be.
Probably bigger for me at the minute than it is for Deborah. And the reason for that, of course, is that I'm the older one. So, the older one will meet the milestones first.
You will be 50 before me.
So, here's the thing, right? On one hand, it's handy for you to see what the milestone does to me in advance, right? And you could maybe say that because I have gone through it, then I could be supportive of you.
On the other hand, I could be like when I turned 30, he had already been 30 in his 30s for 8 years, so he's like...
You just dismiss it.
Oh.
Yeah. But I, for me, a certain point, I just don't think about age anymore. Not really.
Yeah, that's a personality thing.
Yeah. It absolutely is. I'm rubbish at telling other people's ages and everything. So I'm cool with it. But for me, this year will be a big milestone, I suppose. I don't know if I'm that bothered. Maybe if I think about it a lot, I'll get bothered.
Maybe near your birthday you'll be like...
Yeah, maybe. The older one faces the milestone. Everybody goes through them. Everybody has the sort of... You're going to hit 30, you're going to hit 40, you're going to hit 50. You're probably going to want a red sports car. All of that. I won't want a red sports car. Certainly not a convertible. I will burn my bonds. Anyway, you're going to all hit the milestones, but you hit them at different times.
Yeah, so sometimes it can feel a bit out of sync, a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because like most couples will reach them like within like a year or two of each other, but like with us with the 8 years, it's like nearly a decade, isn't it? So, when you reach 30, I was only 22.
Yeah.
So, and even though at that point, in terms of like people looking at you, it's sort of balanced out. Like the milestones didn't balance out.
No, not at all. So you just have to
accept it and support each other. So, number 5, how your friends and family react to you, which for me is like one of the biggest ones of an age gap relationship. That's like the one everyone's like, the big thing. For me, I think that people.
Well,
how people react.
For me, it wasn't such a big deal in terms of people's reactions.
You're the man.
Yeah, that's probably the big part of it. For our church group and my family, it was no problem. I can't really think of a particular occasion where it was awkward, like even at all. There were a couple of occasions at work where people asked certain laddie type of questions, which I didn't allow that to carry on for too long. But because I knew what I was hoping to do, I was hoping to marry you. So then, I didn't want that kind of conversation about you. Oh. Anyway, so that's nice. Yeah, well, it's part of who I am. It's part of who you are. Yeah. Whereas my experience was sort of different. Because you're the younger. I think because I was younger, but also because you're the female. I'm the female, so it meant that like when I told my friends at school, well, I was at college, not school. I was at college, like. Yeah, get that one in there. Quite so. Yeah, I wasn't at school. I was at college. Right. Legal age. Anyway, I was at college, and I remember telling my like close friends at college, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, well," and then some of them were like, "We'll see how it goes," and other of them were like, "He just wants one thing," and no matter how many times I tried to tell them he's really not that kind of guy, it was the age plus, pretty much the age and plus being a man, and then it was like he only wants one thing. I'm like, he's really not like that. But then sort of that progressed. But it was also, I remember at college telling my form tutor, and, her eyebrows were just going higher. And it was, she couldn't do anything, obviously, because I was over 16, and what's she going to do? So it was like, she was like, just sort of took a mental note, sort of keep an eye. But she did come to our wedding, because I invited some of my teachers. But the thing is, it's true that they just expected that I just wanted my merry way with you and all that. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think that's because we got together so young. But then, when I was so young, obviously that didn't happen, and then nothing happened until above board. Everything was above board, and then we got married, and then cool, and now we're married for 11 years. So it is true that there was a big difference, and that's partly who our friends and culture group, as it were. Yeah, I think that's the right word. I think like at church, people weren't really they weren't like fussed or anything, because they saw us as friends. We were friends before we started going out, and they knew the histories of the families. Yeah, and our parents weren't. We were quite fortunate that our parents were not bothered, because they knew each other themselves already before either of us were even born. Well, before I was born, actually. I'm older. So it does show up. Like that kind of thing, it does show up when you're sort of doing this. We don't do that math very often, but how your friends how your friends and family react. It does depend on your relationship before you get together, I think, and when your age, like relating back to number one. Yeah, exactly. Because remember, it does equalise as you get a bit older and a bit older and a bit older, until we're just a married couple now. Yeah. Which is great, because we're a married couple now. And that's why we're here, for you guys. It's an age gap marriage, and there are challenges. There are always challenges in any relationship, but I think that it works. It works really, really well for us. Hope these 5 things have been helpful. Please put some comments below. Yeah, like if you're in an age gap relationship, what was something that you think is an important part? That would be really interesting. Or if you're not in an age gap relationship, what is a question that you have for a person in an age gap relationship? Yeah, and we'll do our best to try and answer wherever we can. So, with all that being said, bye guys. Take care. Until next time.